5 guys that had been in a room together, sleeping and doing it kind of old school way, but we'd never been on stage together.
Because I think quite astutely said, listen, I don't want the first time for us all to be on stage together and to be Camden Assembly.
We put together basically a run of warm-up shows before the launch gig.
Because we'd been told that it was getting to a point where it was like sold out. There's a lot of people coming, like the guys from the choir boys were coming down. There was people from labels, and I was like, I don't want the first time for us to be on stage together there, you know, like, because if anything's going to go wrong, let's do that previous. So I went and booked a bunch of small venue, great, like proper music pub gigs.
Jonnie, again, he's got the Rolodex of every pub in the north, and he managed to sort us out free accommodation and, you know, a gig, at least 1 gig a day, maybe 2.
Places in Liverpool that I knew would pay us enough to get to the next venue and carry on. We started about 5 days before in Leeds. So the first unofficial Keylock gig ever, first one, was in the Duck and Drake in Leeds. The driver was living in North Wales, so he came and picked me up in the bus, drove to Oxford to pick Aaron and Thom up, drove to Essex to pick Jack up, and then drove to Leeds in one day, like a great big U shape. I think we were in the bus for something like 15 hours. That's insanity.
We got together the night before the show. There was a Tom Petty tribute on at the Duck and Drake, which was nice. And then slept at the Duck and Drake because they've got like a wicked bedroom upstairs that had like 6 double beds, so we all had a nice sleep. And then we rehearsed during the day.
Hey, Argonaut, you never seen it? That guy looks like
it's huge.
Bit like me. David Dickinson.
You think David Dickinson looks like you?
No, I look like inside we are brothers.
Okay.
Got massively stressed because we realised that we hadn't rehearsed well enough to be, you know, launching on that following Monday. This is the Friday, I believe, we played Duck and Drake. So we were just like rattling through everything like as much as we possibly could. And then we packed the gear back into the van, drove back to the Duck and Drake, set up and played our kind of first ever show together.
It was loud, you know, and full of energy. And then I think after the first one, we got to kind of, okay, you know what, these 2 songs work nicely here, and all, you know, it's good to have. Let's draw that section out a little bit.
All I remember about the Duck and Drake was being completely smoked out by incense because Jonnie had lit about 20 sticks on either side of the stage. We couldn't see each other, couldn't hear each other because there was no monitors, nothing fancy like that. It was the absolute bare bones kind of rock and roll show. But no, we made it work, you know, as much as you can.
I think everybody sort of goes out there straight away, all guns blazing and everything in a tiny little pub, had a full Marshall stack, and it was fine. You know what I mean? The energy and the enthusiasm was there, I guess.
And that was the first time I felt it was its own entity as opposed to playing with Aaron Keylock.
We had to do a cover set because we couldn't really go into pubs and that sort of atmosphere without playing something that people know, because it's a bit obnoxious to be like, hi, we're a band that you've never heard of, now we're going to play some songs that you don't know and you won't like them. So so we had a few covers in it. We had to do 45-minute cover set, and then we had a 45-minute original set that we played.
I think every night it got better and better, do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think things can sometimes wear off and go stale, but I think for us, everybody was feeding each other out on stage, and you know what I mean? Like, you never really know until you've been on stage with somebody, you know what I mean? It's completely different, especially with someone like me. I mean, me and Jonnie, like, he likes to jump, and I'm just good at falling over. So put me and Cuban heels on the guitar, and it's a disaster, man. But so yeah, I mean, they were fun shows, you know what I mean? I think as well, like coming from being in a room and then playing in a pub or like, you know, a small kind of corner of a room to then an actual gig on the stage. I think that's kind of just natural progression that any band should have. It was good for us to just see each other on stage, play with each other, learn about volumes and where people stand and what people do and everything. So it was a good idea looking back, as chaotic and, you know, messy as they were at the time. It was, you know, it's what it is. It's what every band has to go to, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a hoot. It was really good fun. Lovely places all up north. Liverpool, Newcastle. Some very strange things happened on that tour, though. I mean, we had some. I think we were playing The Wait again at one of the pubs. I think it's called Stanley's Cask or Stephen's Cask, and we had this bladdered bloke come up during the wait, and he was asking for another song. He wanted like Wonderwall, or he wanted another song during that. And Jonnie was singing back his retorts to him in the verse. So that was surreal and bizarre. And I had a pint of this very strong beer. It was about 10%, or at least 6, or probably 4, or probably 1.4, knowing me. But I was just, yeah, I couldn't get any. I couldn't even walk to the van by the end of that. And things went from bad to worse as we got closer to London.
Thom had got drunk basically and had a bad hangover, but he claimed it was incense. But
I'm sure he thinks that incense poisoning is a real thing.
Do you know, it is real. It is a fact. I wouldn't have believed it, but I was Googling, can you get incense poisoning? And there's a whole load of stuff, obviously, because the internet on it. And I am a victim of incense poisoning, I've got to tell you.
I would probably argue it was the 5 pints of dark ale that he'd had the night before that probably caused the issues slightly more than that. But
he did the research into incense poisoning, and
no, I've got written proof that I had incense poisoning from the internet.
Thom was knocked out, man. We did the Duck and Drake, and then we did the next night. We did 2 nights. But after the second night, which was when he drank the 5 pints, he was just dead to the world. Like, he was sort of really struggling. We all felt for the guy, because I mean, it's difficult when you're out on the road and you don't have all of your home comforts and you can't just recover like you normally would.
Jonnie he didn't just like one bit of incense. Do you know what I mean? He had sort of like a burner of it, like a sort of Catholic mass or something going on in the van the whole time. So like every stop we made, every place we went, this sort of fume is coming out of any available window. And we're sitting in there like it's apocalypse now or something, you know, smoke blowing everywhere. And I was flagging. I'm super sensitive to stuff like that. And he's smoking in the van as well.
By the time we actually rolled up to Camden with, incense pouring out the windows and whatever else, like we fell out the bus in Camden.
I flopped out. They put my gear on the stage and they put me on the stage.
Yeah, he really struggled with it, and so for a few days he was just completely wiped out. He could barely lift a thing, which is convenient because we had to load up flights of staircases and all that kind of stuff. So then he was passed out on the bed.
And then to make it even worse, when I stepped out and thought, okay, I can do this. I got my mind on the task. All I could smell was incense, because on the stage you put 2 massive burners of incense for the vibe. So yeah, no normal person ever puts that much incense in an enclosed space. Anyway, I don't mind like one bit of Nag Champa for a romantic evening or something, but Jonnie was huffing and puffing like a steam train for that stuff. And you can actually have an overdose of incense. I mean, it's a real thing. It makes you feel pretty blue and very dry, obviously, and then sort of you're enraged with anger at the perpetrator. That was a pretty large side effect, I think.
Poor guy. I mean, maybe incense poisoning is a real thing, and that's not for me to say, but it definitely seemed like more of a hangover. Then hangovers don't really last for 3 days, do they? So he's probably there was probably something really wrong with him, to be fair, because he was like cramped up in the corner, just like trying to suffer through these songs. But yeah, believe
it, incense poisoning. It happened once, never again. The next time we gig, I'm going to ban Jonnie from bringing any of that stuff on board, and ban him from picking the music as well, because I remember I was sitting up front in the sort of driver box, trying not to throw up, and he put on God knows whatever music, but the worst music you could ever hear when you're feeling green, and because it's coming out the speaker that's sort of wired in, as a odd job, cranked up to 10. I was ready to call it quits. By the time we got to London, I was the first out of that van, I can tell you.